for joining us, Larry. You just published a survey of elections officials and their deep worries about the cuts to federal funding supporting the administration of elections. Your survey shares several important findings. However, are there the top three takeaways that you think voters should know about?
Well, the first you mentioned, there's a high level of concern about the cuts to election security support from the federal government. Those cuts were deep. About 3 in 5 election officials said they were very concerned about those cuts, with an overwhelming majority, 87%, saying that they hoped that state and local governments would pick up the slack. The second was concern about political interference. 3 in 5 election officials said they were concerned about political interference with the way election officials do their jobs, with nearly half saying they were worried about politically motivated investigations. And the last has to do with safety. This is a consistent thing that we've seen in our surveys for the past few years. We've done this survey for 5 years now, since 2020. Close to 40% of election officials said that they were that they had experienced threats, harassment, or abuse just for doing their jobs, and more than half of them were worried about the safety of their colleagues.
They're all very concerning findings, Larry. So why do you think these are important for voters to know about?
Our state and local governments are constitutionally responsible for running elections in the United States. So I think it's important for all of us to be speaking to our state and local representatives and now saying, your job is to make sure we have free and fair elections. You're required to do this under the Constitution. The federal government have been providing support in the past. It no longer is in the same way. And you've got to figure out a way. You don't have that much time before the 2026 elections, frankly. Some states have elections, New Jersey, Virginia, Pennsylvania, statewide elections, even this November. Now is the time to be thinking about, what do these cuts mean, talking to the election officials and figuring out what you state and local leaders need to do to ensure that we, the voters, have our voice heard when we go to vote.
Great, Larry. And it sounds like the voters have play an important role throughout this process. What else can voters do to prepare for the upcoming elections?
As concerning as this survey of election officials was, I think most voters will experience voting the same way they have in recent elections. And so the biggest thing that voters can do, of course, is to educate themselves about what they're voting on. Secondly, to find a trusted source of information about elections. One of the most striking findings in our survey was that 81% of election officials are concerned about the way false information spreads on social media about elections. I think it's made their jobs much more challenging. Voters need to find a place, given all of that misinformation that's out there, they can go to get reliable information about the elections. And I would say the top place to go actually is your local election officials. They're going to have the most accurate recent information about how you vote, when you vote, the security measures that are in place, all of that.
Thank you so much, Larry.